not be alarmed. You have not tuned in to the wrong podcast. Those numbers, as we shall now check. Alright, and now we've switched over to the Wikipedia article on the binary number. Yes, we have. And we are back. There is our yesterday's video on the binary numbers, which I was brash enough to redefine for the second time in my 3.5-year career on YouTube, broadcasting this geometry and new number system. I have
defied Wikipedia. I, alone, can define the binary numbers.
Now, is that true? Depends on whom you believe. Anybody's allowed to redefine some term, but if everyone else is using it one way, and you're using it the other way, well, that's like drawing the short straw when it comes to consensual science.
Because everyone's going to frown on you, or at you, and what's worse, ignore you.
So, the binary numbers are most interesting, and I ran across the fact that I had discovered the binary numbers for myself. I used the binary numbers to construct what you see behind us here on this magnificent piece of technology, a whiteboard mounted on what I can only call a podium because my vocabulary doesn't extend that far to say what this actually would be called. So of course you're allowed to make up terms too if you think you can get away with it. I have been forced to do that sometimes in my notes. But you don't want to make up terms in science. You want to use the terms that everyone else is using. So what's a binary number according to Wikipedia? You see, I can talk as fast as Eminem. And I'm starting to get into a jazz mode where I'm going to start talking like this. And then I'm going to start saying shit like...
Sorry about the shit, but this is rap talk.
I make Eminem look like a Tootsie Roll. What are you, a Butterfinger? Are you a butternut? No, you're a Nutter Butter.
Those are all candies from the 1960s. I don't know. But Tootsie Roll, everyone knows. All right, I'm not allowed to have sugar anymore.
I think you can tell why.
Oh, what a laugh. Oh, yeah, I have a lot of disabilities just barely below the surface. I won't even name them because they're deprecated terms. Big red R, big red backwards R on your back. Oh, those were the days. Anyway, I've given several video lectures on the use of foul language. When I started out my first year, I made about 500 videos in the first year. Mostly it was inebriated on beer. Because I live alone. My wife died 16 years ago. I'm just a sad old, as George Carlin would say, a sad old...
Fuck.
That's a good word. Now, when I was growing up, it wasn't. Okay, I love to tell stories. That's 3.5 minutes. Let's get into the binary numbers. You can tell I don't really need sugar, do I? No, I don't. Or beer. I can't have any of that because it's processed by the liver. I went... My liver hurts. I talked with my sister on the phone for about an hour and a half about this. Because we, in those days, would have a weekly, at least, chat of 2 to 3 hours. I told her, I got a pain in my liver. I don't know if it's the 6-pack of beer I've been drinking nightly. and she said, nah, I get that all the time. She drinks 1 or 2 bottles of wine. Yeah, we come from a 1960s family. We're as old as the trees, or some metaphor that's more appropriate. To get into the binary numbers, let's sum up what we learned yesterday, what I learned. One thing that I managed to find out is that I was right when I said that the binary numbers are synonymous with the dyadic rationals. What a piece of information you can file away in your... Put that right on top of the in pile. Man, got to get to that because, boy, is that... Well, it's just because, the way things develop in mathematics, really in history, really in human communication, words do develop, and they can develop in parallel and cross over, and then you don't know what anyone's talking about. You got to look it up in a dictionary, get an encyclopedia. Well, Wikipedia is just... I don't know what I would do without Wikipedia. Anyways, well, we found out that we do have now a definition of the binary numbers, but they're not the numbers exactly that I use to make this. which if you didn't see yesterday's video, that's fine, because I always keep my videos self-contained. But let's just do a little hands-on. You don't have to do anything. You never have to do anything. I never give homework. I never say start, put your left foot in, put your right foot out, do the hanky-panky and turn yourself about. No, it's a Gedanken experiment if I get you to do anything. Ready for my professorial thing as I squeeze myself up into the corner from yesterday. And now you can see everything right there. Boy, I don't even need to say a word about what this means. I think I should just make sure we all know what that means. I'm not wearing my Windsor tie, which I have insisted anyone who produces scientific material, you should look your best. And the reason I'm not wearing a tie is because I was so excited when I woke up at about 1 p.m. today.
Mathematicians keep strange hours, and somehow, by magic, I've become some kind of mathematician since I'm always using numbers. Well, you need to use numbers in geometry.
But I was just so excited. Here you see my fantastic, custom-made circle drawing instrument, which I didn't use very well. All of this will improve, but this gives you the idea. There's a circle. Now up here, PZ, that stands for parameterization. And that's a fancy-dancy word, which I just love, because I have an aptitude for words, but not for numbers. So this is a strange melding in a human mind of something that I'm just incapable of understanding fully, which is numbers. Although now I'm the world's foremost authority on numbers, because of whom we're going to interview today in this podcast, who, as most of my guests, are dead. I'm sorry, but I have a jolly time doing this. This is fun. Shouldn't science be fun? I say it's the most fun a man can have if you're using science for its right purpose, which of course is wisdom. What the devil? Here's my sermon portion. I'm amped. I told you. I'm going for it. This is real. All right, you know what? So let's get into it so we can learn something. Isn't that what we're here for? Let's go. So this is a circle, and down here it says 1 proportion 1. Next to it is an abbreviation which does not mean hyperbolic arc. It's not like cinch or cosh. 1 proportion 1 is a 2-component number. Now it can also be written this way as 1 over 1 or 1 over 1, but you see it's changed. 1 over 1. Now we all know that that reduces to 1. That's not quite true, because there's a dimension change. Because a 2-component number written in fraction form is a proportion between 2 quantities, and that is extremely important.
All right.
Yeah, baby. And, the old professor can also talk in a sedated manner. Oh, it's fast acting, this stuff. I consider it to be miraculous. It is in the Bible, but let's not go there, because that's not really science. When I'm around, it is. Islam unites science with religion. That's in the other series. You can consult that if you want. This has nothing to do with binary numbers. I just thought I'd mention that, though. I cover a lot of territory, all right?
All right. Ooh, I missed. This is a spittoon. I do mouth tobacco because I can't smoke tobacco. I shouldn't be smoking at all. I have asthma from the campfire, but let's not get into my life. I just love to tell stories. I've lived alone for 16 years after my wife died. That's actually why I do astrophysics.
But enough of my biography. You should know something about your professor. If he's teaching you the secrets of the universe, do you know who that guy is? What if he's some fucking Mormon? He's trying to tell you about Illuminati, just get you off track, just mix you up. You don't know what the hell you need to know about your professor. Well, now up here in the corner I've taken the liberty of drawing in the date, because tomorrow is Thanksgiving. And a new moon, we have a waxing crescent moon, it's about 4 days old, something you don't want to miss. It occurs about 13 times a year. It is the holiest of holy days, the basis of the Sabbath, which no religion on earth has yet recognized, although it's written all over the Old Testament. The new moon? The new moon. Why would God, oh Jesus Christ, I'm sorry, but the Sabbath is now. The Islam people are close to getting the Sabbath right, but the Christians, fuck no. The Jews hate it. They don't have a Sabbath. Well, they have a civil Sabbath, but that was written by Levites, not under the inspiration of God. So that's our little sermon. I'm sorry, but yesterday was Sunday. And I used to be a pastor in Kiev. Did I speak Russian? For about a month. It took me about a year to learn. And then I flew back to the United States and then returned to Ukraine. I've been to Ukraine 5 times, all before the war broke out, obviously. It was around the year 2000, but it covered an 8-year period, and I was an overseas missionary to Kiev. I did well. They loved me there. Here, I was fucking excommunicated. The Sabbath. Yeah, I wrote a couple of books on the Sabbath. The name of God is this was not received at all here. And now my work has been burned up in the campfire because I was too stupid to pick up one of the backup drives and put it in my car and drive through the flames for 3 hours. My tires almost melted. That's why I'm choking to death. But you really must not forego the use of kanab basem. That is a bud. Look at those fingers. I prefer gummy bears, but they're expensive. But let's not go into my finances. It's almost Thanksgiving. Up in this corner you see parameterization, which I never finished that sentence. Because this is a synthetic sequence that's been going on for 3.5 years. Synthetic is the opposite of deductive. Where instead of going forward on a sequence, linear logic, you go backwards to get a better view of what in the fucking world are you even doing. That, by the way, leads us into the Polya method. Polya, from Stanford. If you want to learn logic, read Polya's book, How to Solve a Problem. It's gone into like 32 editions. It's printed in like 16 languages. Parameterization, what does that refer to? The plane, which this whiteboard is. Also, that's what you see in your brain. It's actually physiological, and this has been proved. We see a flat screen image. It's like realizing that the Earth is a sphere. It's like if nobody ever says it, you can still figure it out and you probably intuitively notice it. Because if you get up on a peak that's near the ocean and you look to the horizon, it doesn't take long before you go, my goodness, or my God, depending on your level of intensity, I suppose. You just say, the Earth isn't flat, it's a sphere. But nobody ever tells you, and like you mentioned, the Earth is a sphere. Your mileage may vary on that insight. But it is true. My point being that this flat screen, this is a plane. Is it a Euclidean plane? It is in science, because that's the only way that the plane has been parameterized, ever, for 3,000 years. 2.5 if you measure from Euclid, which we do, so 2,500 years. That is the only parameterization of the plane. Nobody ever questioned that. Well, I think you can see that this is not a straight line. It's a reparameterization of the plane. So I've gone into, in innumerable videos, the difference between the Cartesian grid, which is 2 orthogonal lines used to parameterize the plane. You have to use 2 lines, and they have to be orthogonal. That's considered to be magic, that the plane, which is physiological in our consciousness, we also see spherically, and I'll show you that, but nobody's talking about this because nobody sees the relationship to what we actually see, which is a flat screen image. You can prove that to yourself by the fact that you can tell depth from a flat screen image such as what you're looking at. If I go like this, you can tell the depth of the space. But on a flat screen image, there is no depth. So you are projecting downwards to a flat screen image. Well, you don't do that. Nature does. That's how we see, and the reason we can see depth, which we learned very quickly, it's really built in. You don't really have to learn, you have to correlate. The fact that motion, which you then can interpret as relative size based on distance due to motion. See what I'm doing? That's called motion. and it changes the size of the object in your field of vision. That's called depth vision. That's why our eyes are in the front of our head, not on the side like birds. They need to see around them. They also have depth vision. You know how they do it? They cock their heads side to side to get a parallax. Because if you use motion, that gives you the power of depth vision. All right, I hope that makes sense. That's not a digression. That's to show you the value of seeing a flat screen image. That's why there are so many blackboards in the world. Well, today, due to the progress of technology, we have whiteboards. So the parameterization of the plane is always done with two linear numbers, and that's been proved. And that actually leads us into our interviewee, our distinguished guest, a super Nobel Prize winner, just talking about virtual awards that scientists give each other despite what some fatheads in Stockholm say. Like Einstein's been disproved and Bohr has been proved, and now that cage fight is over. Alfred Nobel manufactured dynamite, so from blowing things up in Europe, he made a fortune and decided he was wealthy, just raped and robbed people of their money for explosives. Just like a Hadron Collider salesman. You see, the cannabis, I probably need one more, what's called a hit. That could be traumatic to a child like mine, such as my own. Certainly a large part of it is still childlike. You better pray to God that part of yours is too, because otherwise you're not getting into heaven. Because you have to become as a little child to get into heaven. Guess who said that? Maybe you don't care. I'm a pastor. I'm the guy who tries to make you care. So you never know when I'm going to strike. Mm-mm. Well, when you're messing with heaven, two can play at the strike game, and that's why that is called a hit. Yeah, shock! How about you get back on track, you pothead? That's heaven. Yeah, smoke some of this. This is what the court sentences on you. You'll straighten out pretty fast. Let me get some more. It's all right. It can't hurt you. It's been proved it's the only substance that cannot even kill mice, rats, or humans. You can look it up. The LD50, the half-lethal dose that they administer to mice of anything like aspirin, has a lethal dose. Coffee has a lethal dose. Everything has a lethal dose. You may really have to overdo it. Maybe water, I don't know. But no, there's only one exception. Pot. The holy anointing oil has an ingredient in it called cannabisem. Cannabis? It just sounds just like cannabis. Yeah, they used hash oil in the secret formula for the holy anointing oil, which, don't forget, is part of Yeshua's name. Yeshua HaMashiach does not specifically mean Jesus the pothead. But I don't think heaven would frown on that. They'd probably look at each other. Should we report that? No, he already knows. Nah, I wouldn't. He hasn't been struck by lightning, or whatever they say. Give me a mo here. I'm sorry, I have to spit because I told you I can't smoke tobacco. So under this mustache, well, let's not... I don't want to tempt the children to, like raid their mommy's purse and then... Here's a can of that stuff the professor uses. Gulp. They start vomiting. You're taken to the hospital. No. There is a lethal dose of mouth tobacco. It's every time you use it. You're decreasing your chances of living out your maximum lifespan. But once you're addicted, I'll tell you, there's no stronger addiction than that stuff I just showed you, the bud. Pretty soon you need it more than oxygen. I've done this skit before. I'm trying to develop a comedy routine because guess who needs attention now? Well, it's because of this. And the religious side that I don't try to torture Americans with that kind of shit. Yes, I do, because I have to. I'm under orders. But I have to be discreet because I still am a societal being. I'm a diplomat, for Christ's sake. Actually, that's literally true. But anyway, the parameterization of the plane is always on two linear numbers. But it's obvious you can do it in one of two ways. Well, nobody ever saw that. Nobody ever saw that the Earth is spherical. It's like everyone else is a flat earther, and I'm the only one who knows that all flat earthers are cuckoo. And I have to say, no, there is another parameterization, hard word to say. That's why I abbreviated PZ even in my notes, because that's a hell of a word to write out. You have to stop and look. Parameterization. Well, like I said, I was born to offset my mathematical disability, if you prefer to say that. And then you have to learn. It just takes you longer. So you're retarded behind the pack. That's where that word retard comes from, which we actually used when it was a common word. And several comedians have given skits on that. What does this mean, arc, H? Because now you know what parameterization means, although I didn't finish the sentence. Let's give the formal definition of parameterization. It's the application of a number system to an object. It is you're not going to be tested on this, well, not by me. It is the application of a number system to an object. Well, you might ask, what object? There are only two. There are only two objects. You know why? Because of what it is you're trying to parameterize. It has to be something you can see. And a moment's thought may convince you of that, but that's actually rather profound. There are only two objects you can see on the plane, which is what you see, without motion. There's no motion, so it's positional. What's the other one? Temporal. It's time is what gives you depth perception. I just told you, I gave you a proof sequence. So there's your first lesson in the secrets of the universe, because no one else will ever tell you that. That the reason you see has to bifurcate into two definitions of what you see. What you see is a plane. See, that's why the parameterization of the plane is the parameterization of consciousness. So you're going to want to stay tuned for my further videos, aren't you? Tell others to watch. Because I'm going to tell you secrets of the universe that are not fake. It's not myth. It's not theory. It's solutions. You notice at the beginning of each podcast, and I've produced two now, this is the second, it says solutions. Podcast solutions. You don't get that from anybody. Nobody has solutions. I do. To consciousness, that's the top of the list, is consciousness. Well, you have to parameterize your consciousness if you want to talk about it. Whether in the philosophy room or in the science room. And these days, we're doing both. And we're not going to stop. And it will go to religion, and I have already climbed that Everest without a Sherpa guide. Although we're going to meet one of my Sherpa guides. I actually had a team of Sherpa guides. Because me climbing Everest, just being the chief scientist now to give out orders of what we're going to believe now, because it's been proved. If you're a scientist and something has been proved, you have to accept it. You don't say, well, I have a theory that says that I don't have to accept the proof. There is no theory against a proof. That's the basis of science. So this is the proof for how to parameterize a surface. A surface. Is a line a surface? No. It's a quantization of a derivative space once you attach the metric. And then you need two. So you need two numbers from the lines to parameterize the plane. Do you know what that's called? It has several names. It's called Euclidean geometry. What geometry does science use? You may get various answers. I'll tell you there's only one answer. Linear, which is synonymous with Euclidean, although not quite. Do you know the subtle difference? You would get it right, at least if I gave this quiz and I said, is Euclidean geometry synonymous with linear geometry? And I said yes, no, or both. There are two right answers. The answer is not no, because it's superpositional. You can say it both ways, but can you say it both ways at the same time? No. Why? Because there are two objects in the universe that you're always using, and they're both in the plane. One of them is the line. And then you need two of them. Why? Because there's two aspects to the plane from a linear perspective. That's what Euclid noticed. So he made a line out of a point. And then he used the same point to what we now could say is the rotation of the line in 2D space to create an orthogonal line, which is a half rotation. And that's profound, but we're not going to discuss all the nitty-gritties because this is synthetic. It runs off the chart in all directions, but they're all the correct direction. That's called a solution vector, and I invented that term because I discovered it. A solution vector gives you all the answers in a class. So this is the parameterization of one of the two objects that causes us to have vision. And more deeply, our visual perceptual system, which, as I've said several times before, even a blind person from birth has a visual perceptual system that is unaffected entirely by the loss of their use of their eyes. So I hope you consider that profound, because I want to contact whatever society or group or however you get in touch with blind people who are organized as such. I want to suggest to them they probably are going to get this geometry before anybody else, because they have an unsullied power. They haven't been brainwashed by Euclid. That's powerful language. That's because I'm the imam now of science. I am the guide. You could even say prophet, because I've prophesied all the answers. Now they have to come true. That's called a proof sequence. It's already published. I'm merely recapping, which I will keep doing until I drop dead. Which, let me remind you, there is some subtle reason why I notified you that my life clock is slowing down. The battery's running out on the old, or the sand is running out in the old hourglass, is the ancient metaphor. So I need to be interviewed quickly. And you can tell I'm fucking ready. And I am goddamned entertaining. And I don't charge money. And if you do this, you get some interview. Look, listen to this guy. Interview him on your show. Interview this kid. He's almost dead. But he's on pot, so he'll probably go on because heaven will keep him alive with the marijuana. I don't know if that's true, but I mean, it could be synchronistic. That's the only thing keeping me alive is the weed. I don't believe that's true. But it is a nice metaphor, or a parable. So why do I have 1 over 2 and 2 over 1? That's called the parametric. And it's two component numbers. Now I want to slow down here because this inevitably confuses. It doesn't confuse me because I see things. But if I say this is a 2-component number and there are 2 of them, now you have 2 2's. And you can see indeed you do have 2 2's. 1 1 was 1 racehorse. 2 2 was 1 2. 1 1 1 1 horse race. 2 2 1 1 2. I heard that from a black Irishman, one of my best friends, and my chess combatant for over a decade. Those are the days. We would stay up all night playing chess. He and I and about 5 other guys that came and went. And we played chess. We played tournament chess. We went to chess clubs twice a week. We talked chess. We smoked chess. We drank Rainier chess. Those were the days. That was 50 years ago. Many of you who are listening may not even be 50 years old. You're the new generation. You're the ones that I'm trying to reach before the government gets you. It's a little late for all of us. The government gets everybody. But they only get you first. Someone else is trying to get you that's not the government. It's not the world system. It's not the death and go to the grave. It's somebody else. And it's somebody. Okay? So I'm fucking dead serious. And I will use the word fuck in a religious context because it's an acceptable word. Because it's simply an ejaculative. I am a grammarian. I'm like Professor fucking Higgins, who, by the way, got the Princess of London. You couldn't do better than that little scullery maid. And you could tell she probably wasn't a virgin. Well, my wife was. I met her when she was 18 in Kiev. She was my translator when I translated the Shir HaShirim, one of the holiest books ever written, called the Song of Solomon. That's not by Solomon. It starts out, this is by the he's Solomon. No, he's not. I'm the son of David. No, he is a son of David in a metaphorical sense. So the Shir HaShirim ends with a statement about the one I love. And she loved the same being. And that is a being that's trying to save you from the government. And if you backtalk me, you're going to hell. Okay, end of sermon. That's for Thanksgiving. I always give the prayer at our family table every Thanksgiving. My mother realized it at an early age. My son is the only religious person since Uncle Sandy. The rest of us are fucking not even atheists. We're too stupid even to be atheists. We just don't know God and don't want to know and never will, because it's not that there's no such thing. Our family was not atheist. We're just brain dead. Never mentioned God, but at the family table, Uncle Sandy is over, who's a Unitarian pastor, in the same lineage as Ralph Waldo Emerson, my scientific mentor, from the age of 14. So we're going deep into my past, because I'm telling you the secrets of the fucking universe. And you're going to fucking eat it up. Because I can prove everything I say. That's called science. You have to share it. You have to. It doesn't make any difference if I'm dying of 2 diseases. I'm 71 years old and I've been trying my ass off. I've made 1,260 videos in 3.5 years to just show this geometry. Well, why the fuck is no one listening? Thank you. That was Southern Baptist mode. Oh, I can turn it on. I have all the arrows in my quiver. Just ching, 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 you're all dead. Because I can prove what I say. That's the top of the list. That goes above religion. That's why I'm reinterpreting Islam and Christianity. And have announced that Judaism is dead, which of course it is. So why are they back? A sordid, hellish story that you don't want to know. I don't want to know it. I have to know it. It's part of the truth. Is it irrational? You could give some much more serious names to that entity that's dominating your life. You need heaven, baby. All right. That's what I do. I've never changed from that. Science is about going to heaven. Now, for fuck's sake. Why wait? If you're going to be there, you want to be there in the future, be there now. That's what be here now means. It means be there now. Because you have to do both. Because there are only 2 objects that parameterize what you know as a conscious being. Whether you have eyeballs or not. When you close your eyes, you still can use this system. It's built in. It's DNA programmed to see a flat image. That makes a plane of consciousness. It's part of your consciousness. If you can see through your eyes, you might say that helps. I say not in the long run, because eventually, even if you're blind now, you'll have your vision. You'll be healed. You didn't get your vision in this lifetime, you'll get it in the next one. So you're blessed indeed. You might want to look at things that way, no matter if you can see or not. But I take the side of children, all men, all women, girls, boys, everybody can know the truth. But if you tell them a lie in place of the truth, you will fucking answer for that. I'm here to make sure you have a choice. So the two objects are the line, which Euclid invented. He certainly the fuck did. And the man we're going to interview today is the one that closed off the Euclidean proof. He did it right. There's two ways to parameterize the plane. But if you start with a line, you have one parameter. If you draw the orthogonal line, a half rotation, or it's actually a quarter rotation, isn't it? No, because it's actually going in two directions. When the line turns, one side is going backwards here, that makes a quarter, and the other part of the diameter is going the other way. And that cuts off half of the area. So it's a half turn on a closed space. And it is a space. There are two spaces here, and I'm going to show you that now. There are two spaces. Those are called dimensions. How many dimensions are on the plane? 2. But actually, you shouldn't answer that. You should ask a question back, as I've taught you. Don't just answer a question, evaluate the question, because questions come in many different forms. How many dimensions are on that plane? The plane, any plane, your plane, my plane, the plane that we see, all of us see this. A plane, it's called a planar surface because if it's 2D, it has a surface. Is it really there? That's a philosophical question, but I mention it because this goes deep. This answers philosophical questions so that you get solutions, not guesses. Provable answers to rational questions. That's what I get. I've gotten them all. You may say, that's grandiose, that's megalomaniac. Yeah. Welcome to my little world. Do you think I want this? I don't even want money. I don't want fame. I want to be left alone. My wife died 16 years ago. I expected to be dead within 14 to 16 years ago. So I don't know why I'm alive except to do this. I wanted to preach the word of God to anybody who would listen, because only I can do that. I've never met another man who could. The rest of them are flat earthers. Only I have seen that the earth is a sphere. Let's get to that now. So you'll know the two surfaces of the universe. There are two. So how many dimensions are in this plane? 2. Why? Because Euclid proved it by the axiomatization of his geometric system on the point. He started with a point as the first sentence in Elements. And in the second sentence, he said that this that you draw from the point has one dimension. You can look that up, but it does require a bit of interpretation. He didn't explicitly use the word dimension, but that is exactly what he said. So a line has one dimension. Well, what does the point have? 0 dimension. And we're going to talk about that again because we're getting to the parameterization of one of the two visual objects that make your consciousness, that makes reality in your consciousness. That's why reality looks real. And I'm going to show you the geometric relationship between your consciousness, which is a surface, with reality, which is a conjugal surface. That's why you see reality. That answers a lot of Zen koans, by the way, if Zen were science. You keep listening and you tell people to listen to me. It's time I was heard. I'm obviously entertaining. I'm obviously honest. I have sworn before the living God that anything I teach can be revealed to children. That's really whom I'm always trying to address for the reason Yeshua said. You're not getting into heaven except as a little child. That's what I'm teaching you, is to how to be that child. When you first looked at the moon and you saw a circle, and later on you learned it was a sphere. That's exactly what I'm going to be teaching you. What you already know, but you're not using it. I will teach you how to use your onboard logic system to resolve your deepest questions about the universe. And if you think that is not going to get to a being, a super consciousness, which I can now prove there's a supernatural space, is called hyperspheric space. Where do you think the aliens live? Where we can see them? No. They're in the real dimension. Yeah. So you do whatever you want with that knowledge, but it can be proved. It can be proved that that's possible. Geometrically, it has to be possible. There's a superspace that we can't see. Isn't there? That's what we're talking about in quantum mechanics and the cosmology game. Are those two limits of spherical space? Going in, it's a surface. I discovered that. It's a sphere. That's the quantum, and we're going to go inside with mathematics and prove everything in quantum mechanics. Prove it. All right. But also we're going to answer the Big Bang enigma, which is a genuine paradox. It's a reasonable theory from one point of view, but it's been falsified. Absolutely. And it doesn't appeal to any airy-fairy like, well, we believe in God and you don't. It has nothing to do with it. It has to do with logic and something called... We'll get to that. There is an outer limit to things, and we're not ever going to penetrate that to actually move our beings there. But Yeshua did, and that's on record. And he's the only man who did. He was visibly transformed to hyperspace in his body. And if you can explain that, you're beyond me. Good luck then, because nobody's going to like you. You cannot tell the truth without bracketing it to make it safe for the person who's hearing it. Because, yeah, it's pretty powerful. It's going to affect you in every way. Once you realize the truth, you have to realize the truth. And nobody can really assist you with that. You either see that the earth is a sphere, or you're a fucking flat earther. Whatever is the fate of the flat earther imbeciles is not up to me to decide. But I think you see my trope mechanism, my metaphor, parable, extensibility of the human language is pretty honed. I told you, I have every arrow in my quiver. Nobody is going to stand up to me in debate. And just to put something out there to increase my chances of being noticed, for good, obviously, you get on someone who contradicts me, I will tear them to shreds to the pleasure of your audience, viewing audience. Anybody. Neil deGrasse Tyson. I will pay you if you get Neil deGrasse Tyson to debate me on your interview. I'll give you the money that would have come to me to tear that man a fucking new asshole to infinity. I will tear that man to shreds on any subject. But I would be naming 100,000 PhDs, even some Nobel Prize laureates, cannot confront me and come away clean. I choke out, and your tapping is not going to release you. If you come up against me, I'll take you out. And so that it will be known what happened. And whatever you do to me after that, it doesn't matter. Because the Godfather said, if there's one thing we've learned, it's that you can assassinate anybody. They did Yeshua. Am I above my master? Come get me, you fucks. I will debate you. If you want it to be friendly, it will be. I'm a diplomat. I'm the American diplomat to Kiev. And I went to all three corners of Ukraine with my consort, who became my wife, the Princess of Ukraine. Those are my credentials. She died of cancer 16 years ago. You're lucky, because otherwise I never would have tried to reach out to you. But I am, with all my being, in my Father's name. May his name be blessed forever. He loves you and he wants you to go to heaven to be with his people. They're your people. They're not down here. That's what Yeshua said. I don't make this stuff up, but I will interpret it so you get the point. You're being invited to an eternity of love. It's either that or the government. And those are your only two choices. The government already owns and controls you. You know it. It's in the news. What's happening on the surface of the globe has already been done in your mind. Right? The worst crimes imaginable have been executed upon your consciousness. I'm here to give you choices of what to do with your consciousness. Its inventor knows what you should be doing with it, but you need to listen. That's why I'm here. The two objects that exist by which we can parameterize our own consciousness, visual perceptual space is part of consciousness, obviously. And blind people have it, yes. So what do you do with it? There's only two things you can do to begin. You can read elements and memorize the whole thing. And then go on to an infinity of math, calculus, and complex numbers. And lose your fucking mind, because it fractalizes. It already has. Or you can choose the other object to parameterize your consciousness, which is not a line. It's this. And that is not a line. Is it or is it not a line? I'll show you that it's part of a line. And that is mind-blowing. So get back to our simple numbers, this is the number 1, but you can see it's not. There are two ones. That's x and y. That's x and y in proportion. It's x over y. Could it be y over x? Absolutely. But is it commutative? No. No, it's not commutative. Addition is, and that's the operator on the line to get distance, is add. Add of a one-component number to another one-component number. You need two one-component numbers to parameterize Euclidean planar space. You can take that one to the bank. And if you want to take notes, I suggest you listen to this 5 or 6 times. But we're coming up on an hour. These were meant to be brief, I knew. Very quickly, I would go to my 2 to 3 hour mode, because this needs to be delivered in a continuity. It has to be continuous. It can't be in lesson segments. You have to see it all at once, because it's synthetic. That means inductive. A synthesis implies you're going to have to use induction to negotiate and navigate, orient, and pursue your synthesis so that you can get it. And it's a structure. And it may need to be supported by mathematics. All geometries need to be supported by an innate mathematics. You can guess there are two. One is based on add. And it has a reciprocal, but in additive space it's not called the reciprocal. So what's the other object if it's not the line? To parameterize the plane, you must have two lines to get two one-component quantum numbers. Those are quanta of a metric. It's the quantum of a metric is the jump from 0 to 1. Through what? Space. Okay? So the smallest jump that you can make in space on a line is the quantum of the metric. It's called the Planck unit, and that has been measured. It's called the Planck length, and you can look that up. I suggest you do, but I will be giving many more presentations, as I have in the past, on the Planck length. As you might guess, there must be two Planck units. Yes, there are two different Planck units. Are they related? Yes, that can be proved. But there are two. You know what the second one is? It's the reduced Planck constant. You know what the coefficient is between the Planck constant? Which is a length, the smallest length. The smallest quantum jump. That's a quantum jump on the line. Because there's nothing in between 0 and 1. Not even space. There's nothing in between 0 and 1. That's called the quantum jump in linear space. There has to be a quantum jump in circular space, which is jumping ahead. To make a very good pun, interview me. Get me an interview. I'm locked in a goddamned Northern California mid-valley town where the train doesn't even stop, okay? I have no car. I can't bicycle to San Francisco. I don't know how to advertise. I probably need an agent or two who fight with each other for control of my destiny. But I don't see that. I don't have a crystal ball, okay? I don't go that far. Oh, let's get out the astrology charts and plot this. No. Sorry, I don't go that far. Although, I mean, there is something to it. I mean, the I Ching does use divination. Well, you're contacting the universe tactilely when you do the arrow sticks. And you're supposed to meditate, and then you do a binary search through the universe to get some fix on your position. And is that divination? Well, I would say, go ahead. I do. I consult the I Ching. I have all my life. Man, does it help, because if you don't have any orientation, the I Ching is a fucking holy book, as I insist, because I can prove it, because of its binary nature. It goes back to the creative force. Oh, yeah. You think the Chinese have no religion? The creative force? This one of two entities, well, not entities, but a conjugality of the Tao. The conjugation of the Tao includes the creative force. You'd expect so. What is the other aspect? It's heaven and earth. In binary, they figured it out. They don't say God, give him a name. No, everything, the way the universe works, is based on the creative force yang. That's later, but it makes sense. Yin and yang, that's not how it's composed. Someone around the time of Confucius pointed out that fits right in with our yin-yang thing. And so that, well, then put it in there as part of the revelation. It's binary, based on heaven and earth, conjugation. Remind you of consciousness and reality, starting to fit. Okay, this all can be proved. So the parameterization by the Euclidean method is exactly what we don't want. Because there's another object you can start with that conjugates the two linear numbers. But you can see, we only know that now. Euclid did not know that. Gee, Euclid, if you could just realize that you're parameterizing the plane with two one-component numbers which only use add, meaning we're going to have to invent the Pythagorean fucking theorem to add two squares to another square, and then go insane with calculus and complex numbers, and stagnate science for a century. Or he might have gone, I can see into the future that these two single component numbers can be conjugated, and all I have to do is start with a circle. That's the other object. In the plane. Obviously it's correct. And that's an hour. In the next video, I'm going to be giving you a few dozen secrets of the universe. We're going to go into the quantum of the atom, where the electron and proton conjugate to create this. You're looking at the proton-electron relationship. I will show you that that is quantum space. And the interior, even though it's parameterized with numbers less than 1, to the proportion that the outside defines space spherically. Yes, it's spherically when you conjugate the two circles that make the sphere. That's time and space. So we'll be right back. This parameterizes Einstein's field equation. What is not as obvious, but I also have this secret, It also parameterizes Einstein's energy equation, because E equals mc squared can be refactored. The c squared is an artificial linear. It's actually a square number. C squared, that's shit. That's a mistake. You can't square a spherical number. And it is a spherical number because it's distance over time. That's a circular number. That transmutes by a transformation on a constant value to the sphere. So the spherical surface is the center of the universe. And inside of it is an infinity. And that conjugates spatial infinity going out. That conjugates spherical spatial infinity as imaginarity to the proportion that the center of the quantum is imaginarity. They cancel on unity. That's this sphere. And now you see it's a sphere. And now you see that the 1-2-2-1 proportion that defines space on the conjugation of in and out makes a surface that must be a two-component number. It's 1 over 1. Can that change? Yes. That's light speed. This is distance over time. This is distance over time. It's 1 over 1. That's called the unitization of light speed. I'm going to complete that phrase. It's the unitization of light speed to my newly discovered number system called the binary numbers, which redefines the binary number correctly, leaving the dyadic fractions as the correct definition of the computer number system. And now I'm going to complete that so you know the difference between the binary number system of circuit logic compared with a binary number system that defines the universe. I almost said fucking universe, but I need to calm down. Probably need another hit. You can tell that the marijuana does slow me down, but then it just picks up again and I need some more. That's why I say it's more addictive than oxygen. You're going to crave this shit more than water if you keep doing it. And then it'll assist you in seeing heaven, and therefore you can go to heaven even here, right here and now, which is our goal. Wouldn't you like to go to heaven? You're in it, honey. Earth is part of heaven. They're conjugal. Earth is not separate from heaven. So when God created the heavens and the earth, he made them both. But what was outside the solar system obviously was not created in 6 days. That can be proved. So the creation of the heavens is a localization of the heavens to the solar system. And those engineers that came from wherever they came from, summoned from the other dimension to come here to this solar system, get to work. The chief is here, the archi, the unnameable one of Islam and Christianity and every real religion which is monotheistic. That's the entity that lives in hyperspace and beyond. And nobody even lives in hyperspace except for he does. But his team can make themselves invisible to us. So that explains UFOs and aliens. They've always been watching us. And that's in the book of Enoch. Get some religious frickin' interviewer to interview me. I'll go to any Protestant or Catholic church. If you enter the fucking view me for the public. So they can be exposed to the truth, so they'll have choices. So you don't have to read the news and just die inside. Because the rape, the murder, the baby murder, the genocide going on, God knows where on the face of the earth, who's being genocidally murdered, this to destroy your mind and close your mind so that you can't get out of your trap. Wouldn't you like to know there's a way out of that trap? There's a lot of shysters, and most of them today in the West are physicists and mathematicians, because they're blind. They are truly blind. And I'm going to close it off at that. 1 hour and 5 minutes. I'll try to edit this down, but usually I don't. You need to know who I am. Get me an interview. It's time. Thank you. Keep looking up. It's a new moon, the holiest day of the year. Thank you.